So I dug out another old can of spray paint. I got it sitting out there, but it's plugged up. I don't know if there's any air pressure in it or not. I'm not going to gamble on it, so I'm going to shoot it with a pellet gun first, outdoors. Okay, folks, so what I've got here is a oh 50, 60, 70, maybe 80-year-old piece of solid oak. And it's a rough cut at 2 inch by almost 6. It was probably originally 6, but it's drawn up over the years. And I am building some blocks to go under the lathe. Okay. Now the cup saw only goes down to 1.5 inches. Okay. So I have to cut as far as I can go and then flip it over and cut the rest of the way through. So I am dipping these oak blocks in burnt motor oil to seal them so that they will last a long time. This shop floor gets real damp. I don't know if it's leaching water through it or if it just sweats water through it, but anything you put on this shop floor has got to be protected somehow. Okay, so what we got is some rubber. And it's not like a spongy type rubber, okay? It's a belt off of a treadmill. So it's got fabric in it, it's got strings in it. So it's not going to have a lot of give, but I can put a little bit of that up underneath the oak blocks or the steel plates, whichever I go with to to put underneath the lathe, so that if the wood is laying against the concrete, then it would last a lot longer if it had this rubber under it. Well, and that's the reason you got to be careful when you're running a drill press. Doing all types of shady stuff. No harm, no foul. I wonder what I could do with that board. Yeah, gotta put the ground down. Hello, folks. Welcome back. Alright, folks. So, I've been working out here all day and part of yesterday to get this lathe back down on the ground the way I want it. So, we got a lot going on here. And maybe I don't know where to start. Okay, starting with these holes. Okay, these holes, you know, I'm assuming there was some type of an adjustable feet that you could get on these lathes, because that hole was threaded. And with, you know, the way the concrete is in here, everything being unlevel, I'm not going to try to put this thing down on an uneven slab and then start trying to put shims under it. We're not doing that. Okay, so I'm building adjustable feet. Now, it may or may not work as far as the stability, because my understanding, these need to be very stable. So I don't know, but whatever I do, I can undo. But I personally, I think it will work. And, you know, we'll just see. We'll see how it goes. So, anyway, basically, we're going to put, well, for now anyway, we're going to put it up on some oak blocks and get it off of that platform dolly, because I've got to return that. And anyway, I'll just start putting it together and we'll see how it goes. Now, these rear wheels, I mean, not wheels, but these rear pedestals, they support the most of the weight, okay? I mean, 75-85% of the weight of this unit is right here on the back. Okay, so I built the back to a little heavier duty, well, a lot heavier duty, and they are greasable, okay? And these bolts, well, I forgot I had these bolts. I bought them for $2 at a, you know, some type of a yard sale or a resale type deal. And I got a bag full of them, I think, for $2. Now, I bought these over at Tractor Supply, but I don't think I'm going to use them. So I'll just put those in the bolt bin and use them for another project one day. I like these better. They got more length, more thread, and I like the Allen head on them. And so anyway, you know, that will go there. The bolt will drop down in there. There'll be a big nut, a couple of big nuts, and then you'll be able to you know, tighten or loosen these bolts to level this unit. Okay, and like I said, it'll be re-greasable. Probably ought to get that spray paint off that little ball bearing right there, that little BB. Need to go ahead and squirt a little grease in there while the paint's still a little wet. Okay, but anyway, y'all get the general idea. Now, another thing I'm doing is I'm putting a ball bearing down in the bottom of this. Okay, now that ball bearing's going to have all the weight on it, but the end of this bolt is concave. Okay, so that little ball bearing's going to be set right there, and all the weight's going to be pivoting right on that. And that is going to make these bolts a lot easier to turn to adjust. Okay, so we're doing that. Oh, and I think you could have used a couple of these. Okay, they got a rounded end on them, but I'm going to go ahead and go with the ball bearing. So the ball bearing goes in there. Okay, that goes up under there. Okay, then the bolt. Now, when I bought these nuts, I didn't buy enough of them. Okay, but I did have some laying around. Now they're the same thread and everything, same inside diameter, but you know, it's just a little bigger on the outside, which I like that because it'll give it more surface area to rub up underneath. Okay, so now the way we're gonna do it, okay, we're gonna grease the thread. And that is probably enough grease to last forever. I'm hoping not to have to move these too much, but I am thinking about setting up this lathe in here in a different area, you know, maybe one day. So it'll be good to have all this. I'll be able to get under it to move it and then to re-level it. Now, little nut goes all the way at the top. Oh, and by the way, I needed some way to get on this. So I took just an old big rusty Allen wrench I had laying around, and I cut a little piece off of it, you know, and then re-beveled everything so it's still usable. And it goes right into a 9/16. Okay, and that goes on there. You know, pretty simple. Okay. Now, y'all just bear with me. Okay, that's going to go through there. Okay. Now, we got to get the other nut under there. Alright, we're going to get some extra grease on there. Then, we're going to get some grease up under there. Then, we're going to get some grease in there. Okay. Alright, we're going to snug that up. Well, not yet. We're going to get this up under there. Okay, so I got to lower it. Well, I got to raise that up a little bit. So let me raise that up just a little. I'd like to get a little bit of that thread sticking through there. Oops, wrong wrench. Biggest damn wrench I got in the shop, 1.25 inches. That ought to be enough. Still don't want to go. However, well, maybe I can lift up on it. If I lift that up and put that over the end of the bolt, put your block. Okay. Now, you know, when I get it all together on, you know, 4 of the legs, now there's 6 of these all together, but for now I just want to get it on 4 where I can get this dolly out from under it. We will come back and we will locate all these blocks and get them, get everything as straight as it needs to be. Okay. Now let me go over there and jack that other end back up a little bit. Here. Get some of that grease off of there before I just get it everywhere. Oh, and I did, I didn't want to repaint anything on this unit. I really wanted to just clean it up, a whole original. But the bottom of this, the table, there is huge areas on this table where there is no paint left on it. No primer, no nothing. And these feet were that way. And so I went ahead, wire brushed everything, and put a little bit of primer on them. Okay? Because I'm just, not going to leave a bare piece of metal exposed. If it's something that you're using, like up there on the lathe chuck or something like that, where you're using it every day, and it's going to be getting oily and greasy, and shouldn't be a problem. But areas down here that I'm never doing anything with, it's just going to sit there and rust. So anyway, that's the reason I did that. One more thing. Now, those holes were originally threaded. They had a fine thread in them. And I went to go buy bolts to fit them. And then I wound up trying to buy a tap because there's BBs in there. There's BBs all around this thing. Somebody was doing welding around this unit. I don't know why, but there is BBs from doing welding and burning. And they were even down in the thread itself. Okay? And so, with all that being said, it just wasn't going to work. So I went ahead and drilled these to 3/4, which was just a little bit bigger than they were. 3/4 would, it was a 3/4 bolt that was in there. So, and these bolts are, they're 3/4, all the way up to even the shoulder. Okay. So that's the reason we're doing it the way we're doing it. Now here's another thing. Now the thickness of that is 3/8, and there was maybe 4 thread. I mean, there might have been 4 full thread in that, and I didn't want to rely on all the weight, being supported on these bolts with only 4 thread. Now these nuts are a lot thicker, and they have almost double the amount of, 7 full thread on there, give or take. I bet it's close. Well, there's 5 right there I can see. Well, anyway, there's more thread on that nut than there is in this piece of 3/8. And the reason in having 2 nuts is so that I can lock these 2 against each other, so these bolts will never wobble inside that hole. Okay, now that's pretty damn stable. Okay, and the reason in the oak block is because I want to be able to raise the lathe up a little bit. It's too damn low for me. My back hurts if I stoop over. You know what I'm talking about? So that's what we got going on here. Okay, and by the way, for you guys that are just starting out, The reason I've got that flat washer tack welded on there is for the end of that bolt set right in there. And the reason is that bolt's pretty long, and when you go to adjust and you loosen off on those two lock nuts, this, without that being there, that bolt would want to wander around like a drill bit will. But if that bolt is sitting in that, down in that hole right there, it'll stay there, and we'll have grease down in there too, okay? Now these won't be as greasable as those back there will, okay? But they don't need to be. There's not much weight up here. Now back here, there's a lot of weight. Let's get her down on the ground. Now let's see what we got. So the tail end's got to come up a little. And we need a little bit right there. Alright folks, well, just want to tell everybody, you know, again, I appreciate everybody tuning in, and I appreciate it. If y'all, you know, leave a comment, let me know what you think. If you got any ideas, give me some ideas. I never claim to be an expert on everything. I'm just a jack of all trades, poor guy trying to make it. But anyway, I think it's turning out pretty good. And oh, by the way, I did leave enough room that I'm able to get back all the way back into here, you know, so if I need to do something. This is an old lathe, you got to oil it. So it's got oilers everywhere that have to be oiled. And you know, I might need to work on the back of the motor or something. So I wanted to leave a little bit of room back there. I don't know if I'm going to like the lathe over here. Kind of put it there because I had a window there and it was a lot less stuff to move to put it there. But, you know, it'd be nice if it was centered on the window a little better. But I'd have to move that shelf over there with all that stained glass. And then my other option would be over here. But I got my water fountain, my sink over there. And I'm thinking of putting in auxiliary outlets for my welders so that if I wanted to, I could actually plug a welder in over there. So I want to leave that area open. And then I've got this other end where the big workbench is. And I kind of like the idea of it being over there. But I don't know. You know, we're going to try it over there and see how it works. Now, one thing I do like is I can be working on the lathe and, you know, learning. And I got Mr. Pete up here going. Now, I can look at what Mr. Pete's doing because he'll explain everything. While I'm at the lathe, I can look right at him. Okay? Now, another thing, I got the TV where I can move it. Okay? Now I just took a great big set of gate hinges. I took 1, 2, 3, 4 big gate hinges here, and just kind of bolted all that together and made, you know, a way I can move the TV. So if I'm over here working on the lathe, you know, I can look right here at the TV at what he's doing. So that kind of makes sense. And then I got the window there for natural light. Okay, now we're gonna add some more light too anyway. Now I just bought 8 big 8-foot LED lights. I hadn't got them put in yet, but we're gonna put 1 or 2 of them right there dedicated for that, you know, for the lathe. And so anyway, we'll see how it goes as time goes on. Anyway, we'll see y'all later. I gotta go eat dinner. She come in here and said she got steak on the grill, so see y'all later. Bye. Well, another marble.